Alright, I figure I'd do another update. Things have had a bit of a start and stop, mainly because I've been waiting for sliders to get in. But the main box is pretty much done. I've painted most parts. Some parts I've neglected to paint. I'm probably not going to see them ever, so it doesn't really matter. Some developments, big developments. My stove, which is the Coleman dual stove, which I've had for a long time, which is this guy, which you might notice is a little janky looking. So where do I begin? This was the original drawer that I built for it, and I wanted to use these pop-up coffee hinges, and I realized that this drawer was a little bit too narrow to house two drawers in it, you know, like a Russian doll. So what I did was I said, alright, you know, instead of starting from scratch, I'm just going to grab this drawer, which was supposed to be here. I moved it over there, repurposed it, and then I wanted to put my battery and electronics and stuff in the back. So what I did is I actually ended up chopping this shorter. So I decreased the length to accommodate the battery, and that worked out nice. And then I put on these hinges, which I would demonstrate, but this is actually still wet from, I decided to stain this and do a high gloss, since it's kind of like a chopping block slash eating station. So at one point I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to put my stove in here and carry it in here, and then this goes on top, and you know, when I want to cook, I open this up, I grab my stove, put it on top of here and cook. It's a little close to the rear door, but that's not actually what stopped me from going there. I'm working on this in my driveway, and I was test fitting the stove, and I left the stove kind of sitting there, and when my wife came home, I had to move the car back a bit so she could park on the sidewalk, and thought nothing of it. Got out, and I bloody ran over my stove. Yeah, I know, I was so pissed. I've had that stove forever, and it's not really salvageable because all of the pieces are bent. And so we're actually going camping this weekend, and I thought, well, maybe I should get a different kind of stove. I did more research, and you know what, I just really like the petrol based stove, because then you never run out of fuel, you don't have to think about it. So I bought another one online, same thing. Coleman still makes these things, awesome, and it's there. Now what can you tell me between these two? The new version is about 20% bigger all around, which really screwed my plans. Now it does fit in this drawer, but I was thinking more and more about this, and I was like, you know what, that stove is going to take up a whole drawer where I could have more crap in there, storage, and I'm going to have my fridge on top. There's a platform that's going to cover all that. And why not just have the stove up there? And I don't drive around with the stove anyway, because there's a lot of metal pieces that cling and clang, and so that's what I've decided to do. Now the bit in the middle is kind of a after effect from drawer sizes, and it has a channel in there, and I was thinking of storing valuables or something in there, but I said bugger it, I'm just going to run cables from there with my solar charger and everything, and have my outlets, and just be done with it. I thought I ended up buying the same sliders, and these are the heavy duty 500 pound ones, and I have these other ones which are the 150, which are really tough to put on. You don't put them on like these ones. They're meant to clip onto the bottom of a drawer like an IKEA drawer, which suck. Now putting them on was a pain in the ass. What helped me was that this was shorter, so I could actually put the slides on and install them while they're in there. I just put this piece here together, which is just going to be a platform that extends out. So I'll install that on the sliders as it's out, and then put another piece of wood just above it, so like a false bottom almost. And so I'll have that, and that'll be cool. I can store some deep items in there. And then I ended up completing how to attach. I've got this J hook there, I don't know if you can see there, with some fairly aggressive screws that come in. The screws protrude a little bit, as you can see there, so I'll grab the Old Faithful Dremel and just shave those bits off so nobody gets hurt. And then these hooks are standard, like they're stock. I didn't do anything, I just cut my all-weather mat so that this bit here could protrude. And then I grabbed this doohickey, not sure what the official name for it is, but I've seen them around, and you just tighten them by hand and it stops the whole thing from moving around. Also did the ones in the back. You can see the two kind of bits of screws that stick out there, and then on the other side just above the battery. So clearance is good in the back. I didn't want it to be right up against the back of the seats. So it's coming along. I like it. I like the finish with this paint is good. I also like this stain that I used. It's just a Minwax classic gray, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to hit it with some couple of coats of this stuff, which I've done before. It comes out looking nice. I was cutting all of my stuff just on the kind of the back of the truck. It's just pretty knuckle dragger technique, to be honest. And so I splurged and I bought myself one of these Works Pegasus stations, $99, $100 while you're done. And man, does it make things so much easier. Of course, it's full of crap right now. It's right there. But very cool. The other thing I'm going to do, this is the top I just painted. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to buy this stuff called Kaizen foam. Kaizen's a Japanese efficiency philosophy, originally developed by a Ford engineer, I think, or something. Anyways, it's basically just black foam that you put in here as an insert, and then you cut away so the shapes of things that you want to put in there, like utensils and stuff, and that way you don't get a whole bunch of stuff that rattles around. Let's see if I can find a dry spot so that I could demonstrate how this works. Yep. There you go. So that's the drawer closed. There'll be a drawer face, so you're not going to see that. And what's interesting about this hinge is it doesn't look level when you install them, but you double triple check when they're in the upright position. And yeah, I'll lift it up. And now it's level. So it doesn't look level when you install it, but when you deploy it, it's level, and that's what you care about, because that's your stuff's going to be here. You don't want it rolling off and stuff. So yeah, pretty happy with it. We'll update as progress continues. Hopefully we'll get this done today, and then we'll start on the drawer faces, and go from there. All right.